Number 16. Iris, 1890. Irises growed in profusion in the south of France, and there were many in the garden at Saint Remy. Van Gogh isolated this single plant, just coming into full bloom, almost as if he were painting a portrait. He used cardboard as a support, as he was running short of canvas at the time. Oil on cardboard, later thinned and mounted on canvas. National Gallery of Canada, Ottawa.
Purchased 1954.
Number 17. Roses, 1889. Van Gogh's attention was caught by the profusion of pink blooms on this rose bush in the overgrown garden at Saint Remy. Manipulating thickly applied paint with a wide variety of brushstrokes, from the swirling to the spiky, he captures the differing textures of the soft rose petals amid the surrounding grasses, flowers, shrubs, and weeds. Oil on canvas. The National Museum of Western Art, Tokyo, Matsukata Collection. Number 18. Park at Arles with a corner of the Yellow House, 1888. Van Gogh drew this meandering path in the park at Arles shortly after he began renting the Yellow House in May 1888. A corner of the house can be glimpsed in the upper right. Van Gogh felt he could probably have found a better place torrent, but wrote the delightful thing about this studio is the gardens opposite. Quill and reed pen and brown ink on paper. Private collection. Number 19. Garden with Weeping Tree, Arles, 1888. Diagonal stripes of hay wilting on a newly mown lawn create an almost abstract pattern. In this extraordinary view onto a small patch of the public gardens at Arles. A great variety of marks evoke cut grass, shadows, foliage and gravel. This drawing was made after an oil painting that Van Gogh hailed as a new subject. In this and other works on paper he explored the subject further, aiming for more clarity of touch. Ink with traces of graphite on paper. The Menil Collection, Houston. Number 20. Weeping Tree, 1889. Today I made one of those drawings which became very dark and quite melancholic for springtime. Van Gogh wrote to his brother in May 1889. Depicting the same tree and round bush had often captured in drawings the previous year, 18 and 19, Van Gogh created an entirely different composition. He also made more vigorous use of one of his own hand-cut reed pens and other media to give the work its emotional charge, reed pen and black brown ink, with black chalk on off-white wove paper. The Art Institute of Chicago, gift of Tiffany and Margaret Blake, 1945.31. The Yellow House. An artist's home. Initially Van Gogh only used the Yellow House, which he rented in early May 1888, as a studio, because it needed both renovation and furniture. By September he moved in and had bold plans to turn the modest house into an artist's home and a communal studio of the South, in which his artist friends from Paris could join him to work. He devised a decoration for the house that included his major paintings. This then evolved into carefully conceived ideas about how to present his art to the public. The works in this gallery were part of his ambitions. Number 21. Van Gogh's Chair, 1888. A rustic chair on which Van Gogh has placed his pipe and tobacco stands as the artist's surrogate self-portrait, while the terracotta tiles and lime-washed walls give a glimpse of the Yellow House's simple interior. Painted in late 1888, when the painter, Paul Gauguin, 1848-1903, had come to stay in Arles, it is one of a pair, the other flatteringly representing Gauguin via an armchair with two novels and a candle on its seat. Oil on canvas. The National Gallery, London. Bought, Courtauld Fund, 1924. Vincent van Gogh, Gauguin's Chair, Arles, November 1888. Van Gogh Museum, Amsterdam, Vincent van Gogh Foundation. Number 22. Starry Night Over the Rain, 1888. The starry sky at last, actually painted at night, under a gas lamp, was how Van Gogh described this view of Arles from across the River Rhine. Despite painting it largely outdoors and in real time, he made compositional choices to achieve the effect was after, by positioning the constellation of Ursa Major above the scene, and inventing the foreground lovers. Their presence was essential to his conception of the picture's status as a poetic subject. Oil on canvas. Musée d'Orsay, Paris, donation of Mr. and Ms. Robert Conschreiber, in memory of F.M.R. and Mrs. Fernand Mock, 1975. Number 23. The Sower, 1888. By the artist's estimation, this depiction of a sower silhouetted against an enormous sun was among his most important works from Arles. Mostly working in the studio, he fused motifs from other artists and Japanese prints with his own observations of nature. By placing the huge disk of the sun behind the figure of the sower, he created a powerfully expressive image with symbolic intent and Christian overtones. Oil on canvas. Samlang Emil Barrel, on long-term loan at Kunsthaus Zurich. Number 24. The Yellow House, the Street, 1888. The Yellow House, with its bright green shutters and door, forms part of an urban view of Arles, which includes a steam train passing over a bridge and mounds of earth for roadworks. Van Gogh was proud to have a home and studio of his own in Arles, and was enamored by the vibrant palette of colors, the Provençal light, weather and even building materials allowed him to explore. Oil on Canvas, Van Gogh Museum, Amsterdam, Vincent van Gogh Foundation. Number 25. The Bedroom, 1889. The decoration of the Yellow House included Van Gogh's bedroom. This picture, the second of 3 versions, was painted in Saint-Rémy in September 1889, and shows him imaginatively changing the display of art on the walls. Over the bed he replaced the Poet, 3, visible in the first version, with a recent self-portrait, 26, and swapped the Lover, 1, which hung alongside, with an unidentified portrait of a woman. His choice of images perhaps expressed his yearning for love and companionship. Oil on Canvas, the Art Institute of Chicago, Helen Birch Bartlett Memorial Collection, 1926.417. Number 26. Self-portrait, 1889. Holding up his palette and brushes, Van Gogh reaffirms his identity as an artist. He painted the work on the first day I got up, following a long recovery from the mental breakdown he experienced in July-August.
1889
Although noting that he was thin and pale as the devil, he was pleased with the contrast of blue with his whitish face and yellow hair. The image appeared in his imagined display of paintings in the bedroom. 25. Shortly after, Oil on Canvas. National Gallery of Art, Washington, D.C., collection of Mr. and Mrs. John Hay Whitney, 1998, 74.5. Number 27. The Allescamps, 1888. The color of the autumn trees in a lane lined with old Roman and medieval sarcophagi captivated Van Gogh and prompted this view of Arles, in which he imagined the pair of lovers taking a promenade. It also provided a perfect balancing of opposites in a picture, which the artist felt created harmony in the image. Here the remnants of the ancient world are contrasted with modern factories glimpsed between the trees, while young lovers walk among the dead. Oil on Canvas, Basil and Elise Goulandris Foundation Collection, Athens. Number 28. The Green Vineyard, 1888. Painted mostly outdoors, this landscape is remarkable for its impasto, thickly applied paint, and rich color. Van Gogh probably finished it in the studio, complaining to Theo that he sweated blood and tears over it. He was pleased with the finished result, however, and listed it among his poetic subjects, which included Starry Night Over the Rain, 22, and a pictorian, the theme of the poet's garden, all intended as decorations for the Yellow House. Oil on Canvas, Kröller-Müller Museum, Otterlo, the Netherlands. Montmayor. A series. Van Gogh marveled at the landscapes around in Arles, some of which put him in mind of places mentioned in his favorite novels. Among the most evocative were the grounds surrounding the ruined 12th century Montmayor Abbey, a well-known landmark north of Arles. After making a number of drawings of Montmayor in May 1888, he returned in July to create a series of large-scale works on paper. These remarkable drawings depict a hybrid place, at once the result of meticulous observation and artist's imagination. Number 29. View of Arles from Montmayor, 1888. The distinctive skyline of Arles, with smoking chimneys of the town's factories, on the far left, was recorded by Van Gogh as he stood on the heights of Montmayor Abbey. He described the sonetto his brother as a contrast between the wild and romantic foreground and the broad, tranquil distant prospects with their horizontal lines. He considered it the first image in a series he dedicated to the site. Reed and quill, pen and ink and pencil on paper. The National Museum of Art, Architecture and Design, YSLO. Number 30. Trees, Montmayor, 1888. In July 1888, Van Gogh returned to thorough and rocky grounds of Montmayor in the company of Lieutenant Milliet. 1. The terrain put the artist strongly in mind of the abandoned garden Elie Paradou, a proven L word for paradise, which featured in Émile Zola's novel The Sin of Amoret, 1875. The importance of the Montmayor drawings to Van Gogh was reflected in his choice of large-format Whitman paper, pen, reed pen on wallpaper, Collection du Musée des Beaux-Arts, Tournai. Number 31. The Rock of Montmayor with Pine Trees, 1888. Montmayor's rocky outcrops, with small pine trees and shrubs clinging wherever they could, inspired some of the best reed pen drawings of Van Gogh's career. In this dramatic view, he includes an obscure glimpse of Arles on the far left. In Zola's novel, the ABB, who has forgotten his vows of chastity due to amnesia, occupies the wild paradise of Elie Peridou with his lover, distanced from the realities of daily life. Pencil, pen, reed pen. Brush and black ink, on wolf paper. Van Gogh Museum, Amsterdam, Vincent van Gogh Foundation. Number 32. Hill with Ruins of Montmayor, 1888. In this extremely bold composition, Therouanne Abbey is dwarfed by an enormous foreground rock. Van Gogh told Theo he had journeyed to Montmayor 50 times and remained enamored despite the heat, the fierce mistral wind and the mosquitoes. If a view makes one forget those little vexations, there must be something in it. Chalk, ink, pencil on paper, Rijksmuseum. Purchased with the support of the Vereniging Rembrandt and the Prins Bernhard funds. Number 33. View of La Croix from Montmayor, 1888. Van Gogh contrasts a steam train with a horse-drawn carriage in this sweeping panorama across the plain of La Croix. The Vestaire calls the pivotal scene in Zola's the scene of Abb Morat, when the priest's amnesia lifts as he sees the landscape below La Peridou, dotted with people living ordinary lives. Van Gogh considered this the last drawing of the Montmayor series and among the best I've done with my pen. For conservation reasons, this work is on display for the first month of the exhibition only. Pen and reed pen on paper, the British Museum. CSAR Mongady Hop Bequest, 1968, 0210.20. Number 34. A Trunk of a Tree, 1888. Using the top edge of the paper to crop this virtuoso depiction of a tree, Van Gogh adopts the bold compositional devices found in Japanese woodblock prints. He had been collecting such prints during his time in Paris, and greatly admired the Japanese approach to drawing and mark-making in translating the natural world onto paper. Pen and sepia ink on buff paper, Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, Richmond, collection of Mr. and Ms. Paul Mellon, 95.33.
中午
Decoration. Van Gogh developed his decoration of the Yellow House into a concept for the presentation of his work that could stand alongside the paintings of his contemporaries, and even be transferred for exhibition in Paris. Throughout his time in Provence, he dispatched his work to his brother in the capital and submitted pictures to exhibitions in Paris and Brussels. Visitors also came to Theo's flat to see Vincent's work. After Van Gogh's first mental breakdown at the end of 1888 and subsequent crises in the following spring, during which time he lost possession of the Yellow House, he carried on developing his ideas for the decoration. One of his most famous groupings, devised during the spring of 1889 when he was in Saint-Remy, is recreated in this room. 2. Sunflower pictures flanking La Berceuse. Number 35. The Stevedores, 1888. I saw a magnificent and very strange effect this evening. A very large boat laden with coal on the Rhine, moored at the quay. On the boat, small workmen were coming and going, carrying the cargo ashore. It was pure hokusai. Van Gogh's description of a scene that reminded him of the celebrated Japanese printmaker later resulted in this remarkable picture. The sunset is captured in orange, yellow, and turquoise streaked with lilac, oil on canvas, private collection.